Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. You know, I said in the last video, we've been having a hard time with rain around here. Mid-Michigan here has gotten pretty hammered with rain this year. So most of my outside projects have been slow to get started or not started. So hopefully in the coming weeks, we'll be able to get back going with some of these projects. Let me just show down here. You guys see how muddy this is down here? This, if you watch this channel, has been flooded 6 or 7 times this spring already. And years ago I put a field tile in here, probably 5 years ago. Even though I buried it in pea stone, the first few years it drained pretty good, but I think there's enough sediment and whatnot in this ground right here that it just doesn't, the water doesn't perk the ground very well to make it to the tile. So I put in 2 of these basins. This is the end of the tile here. I buried this one over here yesterday. And then there's another one. Actually, we can walk up and check it out. But I put another one of these surface drains in here, these catch basins. And I'm gonna get rid of all this junk around here and grade this off real nice and plant some grass around here if this ever dries up. But hopefully, having the catch basins in here will allow the surface water to vacate here a lot faster. In the past, when it rained and when this would flood, the creek would go down within 12 hours of the rain stopping. But this area right here, it would be a week before this would go. And you can see all my grass is dying. It does this every year. The grass dies and everything. So I'm hoping that this takes care of that. All right guys, so as I've mentioned in previous videos, I am a terrible beekeeper. I've had bees, honeybees a couple of times, and every time that it happens, I don't know if it's the weather or the mites or what happens here in Michigan, but the bees that I purchase to get started always seem to die within the first few years. So taking a break this year. I have 2 boxes out right now to try to catch a swarm this year, and I have not done that yet. But I do have 2 honey supers that were full of honey from the last batch of bees that I had to spin that honey out of there. That's what we're gonna do today. So let me show you the equipment that we're using. So first of all, these supers are full, you can see right down in there, of honeycomb and full of honey. They've been sitting here all winter. I had them covered up with this cardboard so that it didn't get any dust in there or anything. I want to show you this spinner centrifuge thing. It's just a stainless steel tub with a drain valve on the bottom and a frame inside of here that you can put the honey frames in there. And then there's a motor that sits right here, which actually it's over there. It sits right here, and a pulley attaches to here, and it runs at a constant speed and essentially flings that honey to the outside of this wall, and it goes down into the bottom. You can't really see it from here, but the bottom of this is cone shaped. So, and right down there is that drain valve hole. The bottom is cone shaped. So then we take the honey out of here and filter out the particles out of it, and then you have honey. We can put it in jars and use it. So let me show you what the process looks like. Basically, we're gonna take this motor, put it in here. Probably, heck, I don't even know, a long time ago, let's just put it that way. And her dad used it for the longest time and passed it down to us. And that's all tightened up now. This is working properly. Now this is an old motor, so bear with me, but if this is working properly, I should be able to plug this in and hit this switch. And that thing's gonna spin just like that. Now this is an old piece of equipment, so I just got done telling my kids earlier, you can't stick your fingers in here. There aren't any guards or anything like that. Anybody out there on YouTube that wants to yell at me for that, just save your breath. I already know what's going on. So I took a couple frames out now, and you can see they're not fully filled in, but there's definitely some honey in there. And you get frames that come out real heavy. And look at that one's just full, completely full of honey. And what you see on here is it's all capped. I hope you can see this. There's wax. The bees have put wax over top of all of these. So this here's that tool I was telling you about. Is you take this roller and you perforate the cappings all the way across multiple times to get them opened right up, just like this. Now you might say to yourself, if you're a beekeeper and you're going to put these back in the hive, typically what you would do is harvest your honey and then you would use the same honeycomb. Well, this frame of honeycomb, them across from each other, and if I have heavy ones, I want to put them across from each other. The reason for that is we want our balance, the machine to be balanced. When we put it in there and start rotating, and if it's not on balance, I'm just going to stand this thing up and I'm going to let my tool puncture this. And it's all right if you do some damage. You're on purpose breaking the cappings off of here. It's okay, trust me, I've done this before. This doesn't have anything to do with the bees dying. All right, let's climb up this ladder here. We're gonna climb up to the top. So I've set the frames in there and we're gonna turn this thing on and spin some of this out. Let me see if I can set the camera up so you guys can see it. All right, now keeping my fingers out of everything, I'm just gonna hold this down in case it wants to wobble on me a little bit. And my frames are good. I'm gonna hit the switch. We'll get an initial spin. Spin some of that stuff out of there. My camera got turned. So what we'll do is we'll run this a few times and then we'll end up turning it around. So that these frames balance real good. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding this thing down so it doesn't want to shake off the table. We're spinning some of that honey out of there. All right, so now we've got I got the first box of frames there spun out, and I didn't take video on all of that, and I'm doing a rough screening. You can see how coarse this mesh is. It's just gonna grab the biggest pieces of this honeycomb and wax. This material that's in here is honeycomb and wax. So we're taking the biggest pieces and screening those out. And what you end up with down there is honey with some smaller pieces in it. Now what we'll do is we'll do a second screening on this afterwards, but we're just gonna put this whole batch into this food grade bucket and come back to it for another screening later. But this is all edible as is right now. Marcus will show you. Throw your finger in there and take a dip, buddy. Here? No, right out of the spout.
This?
Yeah. Just got some honeycomb in it.
Oh.
Tastes like honey?
Yep.
Good?
Yep.
All right, well, I've taken off the top piece. I've got all of the frames that were in these two boxes here spun out now. And looks like, actually, you can probably see the level on that bucket right there. It's gonna be about half of a 5-gallon bucket, so probably 2.5 gallons out of that amount right there. Not all of the frames were filled, but most of them had a good amount of material in there. So that's raw honey with a little bit of material in it still, material being the wax and the honeycomb. So this filter that we're running this through right now is just to get the big stuff out. So this will actually sit here, the stuff that's in here right now, that'll sit in there for probably the next 20 minutes. But for right now, I'm gonna go clean out the inside of this and clean up the rest of our equipment and put it away. Remember, we don't have bees this year, so might be a while before I do this again, so I need to get everything cleaned up and put back away. There's a spot on the loft of the barn here that I store all this stuff. I'm gonna hang on to this material. You know, hopefully we get back into the beekeeping thing here. It really is a good good thing to do as far as the environment and again, agriculture, pollination, you know, all those things. So you know, anybody that's interested in getting started in beekeeping, if you have an interest and you have time to do it, definitely give it a shot. We need more of us around here. So anyway, that concludes this video. I hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions about beekeeping or the equipment or what I used here today, or just any questions in general, send me a message and we'll try to get back with you. So appreciate you watching, and we'll see you next time.